जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय
या
राधा
राधा
माधव
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 कुंज
कुंज
बिहारी
बिहारी
गोपीजन
गोपीजन
बल्लभ
वल्लभ
गिरिवरधारी।
गिरिवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन
यशोदानंदन
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन नंदन
व्रजजनरञ्जन
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
जमुना तीर
नातीरवनचारि।
बनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय
जय
राधा
राधा
माधव कुंज
कुञ्ज
बिहारी
बिहारी
गोपीजन
गोपीजन
वल्लभ
वल्लभ
गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन
यशोदानन्दन
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन
व्रजजनरञ्जन
नंदन
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यमुना तीर बनचारी।
मुनातीरवनचारि।
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
कृष्णा
Hare
हरे
Krishna,
कृष्णा
Krishna
कृष्णा कृष्णा
Krishna, Hare
हरे हरे
Hare, Hare
हरे राम
Rama, Hare
हरे राम
Rama, Rama
राम राम
Rama, Hare
हरे हरे।
Hare.
जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे।
Jaya
जय राधा
Radha Damodara
दामोदर
Radha
राधा
Ramodara
दामोदर राधे।
Radha.
जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे।
जय
Jaya
राधा
Radha Shyama
श्याम
Sundar
सुंदर
Radha
राधा
Shyama
श्याम
Sundar
सुंदर
Shyama Sundar
राधे।
Radhe.
जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा।
Jaya
जय
Jagannatha
जगन्नाथ जय
Jaya
बलदेव
Jagannatha Jaya Balabhadra Jaya
जय
Subhadra.
सुभद्रा।
जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय।
Jaya Gauranita
गौरनिताय
Jaya
जय
Gauranita
गौरनिताय
Jaya
जय
Gauranita
गौरनिताय
Jaya.
जय गौरनिताय।
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद।
Jaya Jaya
जय
Prabhupada,
प्रभुपाद
Prabhupada,
प्रभुपाद
Jaya Jaya
जय
Prabhupada.
प्रभुपाद।
गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
Hari
बोल
Bol.
हरि बोल।
So, reading from Bhagavad Gita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
ॐ
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
ॐ नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय।
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
Namaskrityam
Naran Chaiva Narottamam
नरं
Naram
चैव
Chaivam
नरोत्तमं
Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim
देवीं
Saraswatim
सरस्वतीं व्यासं
Vyasam
Tato Jayamudirayet
Tato
ततो
Jayam Utirayet.
जयमुदीरये।
Nashtaprayasu Abhadresu
नष्टप्रायेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
अभद्रेषु
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
नित्यं
नित्यं
भागवत
भागवत
सेवया
सेवया
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
भगवते
भगवति
उत्तम
उत्तमश्लोके
श्लोके
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir-bhavati
Bhaktir-bhavati
naistiki.
Naistiki.
Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, titled Attaining the Supreme, and verse number 15. Mam upetya punarjanma
Mamupetya
Mamupetya
Punarjanma
punarjanma
dukkhalaya shostvakam
dukhalayam
Dukhalayam
asvatam
Ashvatam
napnuvanti mahatmana
napnuvanti
Napnuvanti
mahatmana
Mahatmana
samsiddham paramam gata
samsiddhim
Samsiddhim Paramam Gata.
paramangataha.
mam upetya punarjanma
Mamupetya
Mamupetya
Punarjanma
punarjanma
dukkhalaya shosvatam
Dukhalayam
dukhalayam
Ashvatam
sasvatam
napnuvanti mahatmana
napnuvanti
Napnuvanti
mahatmana
Mahatmana
samsiddhim paramam gata.
Samsiddhim
samsiddhim
Paramam
paramangataha.
Gataha.
Any Prabhuji or Mataji?
Yes. Upetyam punarjanma
Mamupetya
Mamupetya
Punarjanma
punarjanma
dukhalayam asaswatam
dukhalaya
Dukhalayam Ashashvatam
sasvatam
napnubhatim mahatmanah
Napnuvanti
napnuvanti
mahatmana
mahatmanam
siddhim paramagatah
samsiddhim
samsiddhim
Paramam
paramam
Gataha.
paramangataha.
gata.
Mamupetya Punarjanma
Mamupetya
Mamupetya
punarjanma
punarjanma
Dukhalayam Ashashvatam
dukhalayam
dukhalayam
dukhalaya
sasvatam
sasvatam
Napnuvanti Mahatmanaha
napnuvanti
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 mahatmanaha
mahatmana
mahatmanah
Samsiddhim Paramam Gataha.
samsiddhim
samsiddhim paramam
paramangataha.
gata.
Mam upetta punarjanma
mam
Mamupetya
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 Punarjanma
punarjanma
upetyam
dukhalayam asatbhatam
dukhalayam
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 Ashashvatam
sasvatam
namnu bhanti mahatmanaha
Napnuvanti Mahatmanaha
napnuvanti
mahatmanah
mahatmana
tam siddhim paramam gataha
samsiddhim
Samsiddhim Paramam
paramangataha.
Gataha.
माम उपेत्या पुनर्जन्म
mam upetta
Mamupetya
punarjanma
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 दुःखालयम् अशाश्वतम्
dukhalayam
Dukhalayam Ashashvatam
न आप्नुवन्ति महात्मनः
nam
Napnuvanti Mahatmanaha
mahatmana
संसिद्धिं परमां गतः
tam siddhim
Samsiddhim
paramam
Paramam
gataha.
Gataha.
word by word meaning. Mam, me.
Mami
Upet, achieving.
Petya achieving.
Puna, again.
Punaha again.
Janma, birth.
Janma birth.
Dukkhalayam, place of miseries.
Dukhalayam place of miseries.
Asaswatam, temporary.
Asassatam
Asashvatam
temporary.
temporary.
Na, never.
No,
Na
never.
Apnuvanti, attain.
apnuvanti
Apnuvanti attain.
Mahatmana,
mahatmana
Mahatmanaha.
the great souls.
the
The
great
great
soul
souls.
Samsiddhim,
tam
Samsiddhim.
perfection.
perfect
Perfection.
Paramam,
paramam
Paramam.
ultimate.
ultimate
Ultimate.
Gata,
gata
Gataha.
having achieved.
Having achieved.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
yeah.
After attaining me,
After attaining me
After attaining
the great souls
The
the
great
great
souls
soul
who are yogis in devotion
who
who
are
are
devotees in
yogis in
in
devotion
devotion
devotion.
never return to the temporary world,
never
never
return
Never
return
to
to
this
this
return to this
temporary
temporary
world
temporary
world,
world.
which is full of miseries,
which is
which
Which
full
is
of
full of
full of
miseries,
miseries.
because they have attained the highest perfection.
because
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 they
they
have
have
attained
attained
the
the
highest
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 perfection.
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 Anyone would like to read this page? There is one more page after this.
Since this temporary material world is full of the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death, naturally, he who achieves the highest perfection and attains the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, Goloka, Vrindavana, does not wish to return. The supreme planet is described in Vedic literature as Abhokta and Aksara and Paramagati. In other words, that planet is beyond our material vision and it is inexplicable, but it is the highest goal, the destination for the Mahatmas, great souls.
Anyone else would like to read this page?
The Mahatmas receive transcendental message from the realized devotees and thus gradually develop devotional service in Krishna consciousness and became so absorbed in transcendental service that they no longer desire elevation to any of the material planets, nor do they even want to be transferred to any spiritual planet. They only want Krishna and Krishna's association and nothing else. That is the highest perfection of life. This verse specifically mentions the personalist devotees of the Supreme Lord Krishna. These devotees in Krishna consciousness achieve the highest perfection of life. In other words, they are the supreme souls.
Okay, let's read the pranam mantra, what we already have in our WhatsApp all together so that we can save some time. Om Agyana Timirandasya
ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय
Jnananjana
चक्षुरुन्मीलितं
ज्ञानञ्जनं
येन
शलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं
तस्मै
येन
श्रीगुरवे
तस्मै
नमः
श्रीगुरवे नमः
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
भूतले स्वयं
भूतले
रूप कदा मह्यं
Dadati
ददाति
श्रीम
Swapadantikam
पदान्तिकम्
Vandeham Sri Guru
वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु
Yotapadakamaham Sri
श्रीगुरुपदकमलं
Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri
श्रीगुरु वैष्णवश्च
Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam
अन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादं
Sahagana
सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणसिन्धो
करुणा सिंधु
दीनबन्धो
दीनबन्धु
जगत्पते
जगत्पते गोपीश
गोपेश
गोपिकान्तो
गोपीकान्त
राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते
राधकान्त नमस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन
जल
गौराङ्गी
गौरांगी
राधा
वन्दे
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
वन्दनेश्वरी
वृषभानुसुते देवी
विभूषण
प्रणमामि
देवी
हरिप्रिये
प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये
वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च
पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
पतितानां
पावनभुवैव च
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
जय
नमः
श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य
अर्धनमिरञ्जस्य
प्रभु
ज्ञानशलाकया
नित्यानन्द
चक्षुरुपलितं
श्री
येन
अद्वैत गदाधर
श्रीगुरवे
श्रीवासादि
नमः
गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे
चैतन्य प्रभु
कृष्ण
नित्यानंद
हरे
श्री
कृष्ण
अद्वैत
कृष्ण
गदाधर
कृष्ण हरे हरे
प्रभु नित्यानंद
हरे
श्री अद्वैत आदि
राम
गुरु
राम
गोविंद
राम
हरे
हरे
कृष्ण
हरे
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Saturday evening Bhagavad Gita Sangha, where we take the top 108 verses. And today we are following up after a wonderful verse we discussed last time, the 14th verse, and today it is the 15th verse. So here, Lord is explaining so beautifully, and this is a very, very powerful verse actually. So Krishna is mentioning the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purna Purushottam Krishna, is mentioning these four lines which are full of nectar. Mamupaitya Punarjanma. He's explaining that when a person goes through this repeated birth and death, he goes through a lot of suffering. But here, what he is saying is the person who attain me, he doesn't have to come back to this Dukhalaya Aswaswatam. That means this place, this material place is Dukhalayam, is full of misery and Aswaswatam. That means it is very temporary. So Krishna is saying Krishna is actually present in our hearts, and Krishna is present in a place which we call the Golak Vrindavan. He has a place, and he is also present here because he is omnipresent, right? So, Supreme Personality of Godhead is present in our hearts, is present in every living being, he is Aham Bija Pradapita, and he has a place. And the place where he resides with his associates is actually there is no misery there. Everybody is happy. And that's a permanent place which has been happening, which has been occurring millions and millions of years. But this place, what we are living here, is very temporary. And it's a place of misery. And who is saying this? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying this, that this place is full of misery. But in spite of that, we think this is the best place in the world and there is no life after this. There's one life we have got. So let's make the most of it by enjoying. This is exactly what our karmic past has taught us. But here, Krishna is talking something very unique. Krishna is saying, this is not a great place to start with. And this place, this relationship to this place, your association with this place, your affinity to this place is very, very temporary. So this is, I think, the most powerful line, Dukhalaya Soswatam, in the world. And anybody who has understood this thing, which Krishna is telling, who Krishna, who created this place, is telling this place is temporary for you. This place is miserable for you. But still, we, in our mind, which is darkened by the illusory energy of the Lord, where the transcendental knowledge should overpower everything, but our material energy, the material illusory energy of the Lord, darkens the light of transcendental energy. And that tells us that this is the only one life we have got. Let's make the most of it. And see, that is the contrast here. And that is where Krishna says everything, relationship, status, riches, everything we have a relationship with our parents. But that relationship is 60, 70, 80 years old, which is wonderful, which has to be respected. Our social status, as you know, you may be a billionaire or a billionaire, your status is very temporary. Yesterday itself, you might have heard Microsoft in market cap overtook Apple. Apple was the number one market cap. It was somewhere around 2.3 or 4 billion trillion 2.3 billion dollars, and yesterday Microsoft became the number one company in the world because they overtook Apple in, and that overtaking is also very temporary. There is something else which will come up and it will overtake that. So our status as number one in the world, number two in the world is very temporary. It changes every day. Our riches, very temporary. It basically stays here once we leave the body. And Krishna is saying this place is a place of miserable suffering. Dukhalayam. This is a place is full of misery and and anything we end up doing, whether we have this uh, this eating, mating, sleeping, defending tendency, that enjoyment we get from eating, mating, sleeping, defending is so temporary you can't imagine, and that is where animals lead into that and the we are rationalized animals, we can rationalize something, and that is where we have to recognize the difference between this this eating, mating, sleeping, eating, mating, sleeping, and defending is something which everyone does. We as human being has to do something different. We have to recognize who we are, what is the relationship with the Supreme, and that is where Krishna, in another part in Bhagavad Gita, also says, "Indriyarthesu vairagyam, ahankara evacha, janma mrityu jara vyadhi, dukkha dosanudarsanam." That means this place is so full of misery that it's full of suffering. Here, Krishna is saying in 8.15, what we're discussing today, Krishna is saying it's a miserable place. And then Krishna in the 13th verse talks about suffering. And we have four kinds of suffering: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Whenever we are in our mother's womb, we are constricted to a very limited place. We are constricted, and there we go through so much suffering. And that's when we come out, we, we cry with happiness that all the miseries, all the acids, and all the alkaline things we were subjected to in that constricted place where it was full of um, dirt. We are we are uh, it was a full of suffering. Mrityu is full of suffering. Whenever we go through, people who are dying, they anyway, they have the serpents who bite them, but along with the mrityu of that individual, the relatives, they go through so much of suffering. And jara, the old age, whenever we are getting close to 50s, 60s. Yesterday, the news came out that in this in this urge to stay fit, people are over exercising. Sometimes they are 40, they do not know that the body cannot take more exercise. They're over exercising. And because of the over exercising, a very famous personality yesterday passed away. He was exercising, was so conscious of the status of the material life, that he has to look good, he has to get rid of his stomach, that he was constantly doing exercising. And in exercising, he ceased to live. And there was millions of people in the southern Indian state of Karnataka who was bidding goodbye to him yesterday. This place is very difficult, but because we think at the age of 40, 45 we are not old, we think at the age of 50, 55 we are not old. Body is catching up, and this jarab is such an important thing. We have to recognize what we have to do, and we have to slow down. We have to recognize the problems we are going to have. Our body is not the same when we are 10 years old or 20 years old. And then vyadhi, this disease, whenever we are diseased, you just saw a microorganism causing havoc in the whole world for years, and the vaccine had to come out. And who knows, there might be another virus or something. So this disease, a small creation of the supreme personality of godhead, can create havoc. Then what to think about the supreme personality of godhead, who is actually showcasing his Virat Roop to Arjuna, who is humongous, which is unthinkable. So this Janma Mrityu Jaraya Bhati Dukkha Dosanu Darshanam. Srila Prabhupada writes beautifully: the renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil and suffering of birth, death, old age, and disease. All these things can only be successful only by detachment. So it is not as if these four things doesn't happen to Pandavas. These four things doesn't happen to Draupadi Maharani or Kunti Maharani. These things happens to Mirabai as well. But the reason they did not worry about all these things, the sufferings they had to underwent, because they had constantly surrendered to the supreme personality of godhead. And that is why he very much knew that he will take care, so his focus was somewhere else. That's the reason why whenever you take a big medicine, they first give you anesthesia, because they want to make your focus go somewhere else, so when the pain strikes, you do not have the kind of pain you're subjected to. It's very important for us to recognize why there is awesome confidence. We beam with confidence when we surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because we know that He is going to take care of us. He is going to look after us. Our so-called green cards and citizenship or whatever it is, and we crave so much about citizenship, because when the countries do not live for long enough, what to talk about citizenship? It doesn't even stay a course. So our version of happiness is so myopic and is so unthought, that it is very difficult. And Krishna, who created this world, is actually telling us this place is full of suffering. And then in the third line, he is saying, Napnuvanti Mahatmana, great souls attain. So, who are Mahatmana? Most of the time, there are personalities who have taken birth and who have guided our country. We tend to apply the definition of Mahatma. But in this case, Krishna is saying, who is Mahatma? Mahatma is a person who is ready to go to the abode of the lordships. Is a person who has characterized himself, who has defined himself, who has resorted to Krishna consciousness process, and he is ready to go back to Godhead. He is a Mahatma. The person who we tag as Mahatma is not the real definition of Mahatma. And who are the people who come to me? It's the Mahatmas who come to me. The great souls attain. And then Lord says, Samsiddhing Paramam Gata, perfection of the ultimate. So Krishna is saying, this place being miserable by the process of Krishna consciousness, the great souls, the Mahatmas who attain me by perfecting the union of them with me, they attain me and they do not take punarjanma. They do not take punarjanma. So that means they do not have to go through this cycle of janma mrityu jara vyadhi. That means they do not have to come back to this world and do this punarjanma process of janma mrityu jara vyadhi cycle, and then they do not have to come back to this material world. So that means they attain me all the time. So you might have seen in physics, when you read, you talked about the speed of an object. When the speed of the object is high, it goes to a very big distance. And when the speed is so high that the, the gravitational pull of the earth and the detachment from the orbit neutralizes, and the person rotates around the central part of the body, the sun. And that, what is that? That is called escape velocity. That means you escape from the gravitational pull of the earth in such a way that your pull and the earth's pull is the same. So when you have the escape velocity, you basically do not come back to the central point, you rotate around the thing. So the scientific example I'm just giving is signifying the fact that in order to escape from this material illusory energy of the Lord and come back to this process of this Janma Mrityu Jarabhati, in order to avoid this, we have to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And that's the reason why we have to constantly remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the beginning of the 8th chapter, Krishna gives us how to attain me. And that's the reason why this chapter is called Attaining the Supreme. So that's the reason why Krishna is giving the solution here as to how to attain me. And here, while attaining him, he's saying the people who are constantly thinking about me, constantly meditating on the forms of me, they attain me. So when you attain Krishna, you really do not come back. But whenever we want to attain the effulgence of the Lord, then when we want to sort of uh, like the karmis and yogis, they attain in a very unwise way, but the process of devotion makes you attain the supreme personality of Godhead in a loving exchange, so that you do not have to come back. So Krishna is so our situation in this world is very, very miserable, and we seek for happiness in a very weird way. So um, so once upon a time, this is a pastime from Mahabharata. You might have heard. Our situation is very precarious in this material world. It's so precarious that we have so many problems But in the meantime, when we see a problem of somebody else, an individual takes a lot of pleasure in seeing somebody's harm, because our mind over a period of time has become so contaminated that we are not pure. We do not have compassion for other people. Instead of Vaishnavas, who are typically paradukhe dukhis, we cease to become that, because we have not helped our cause of building that element of compassion. And our aspect to seek happiness is so precarious, you can't imagine. So in Mahabharata, there is this situation where a tiger is chasing a person. A person goes to the forest and he sees a tiger, and he is constantly chased. And when he was running to stay away from the tiger, he fell down on a big cliff. So he was running away from the tiger, and he fell from a cliff. And when he fell from the cliff, he fell through a beehive, and he just stuck to the branch of a tree. So the situation is, the tiger is in the top of the cliff. He is getting ready to eat you as you get closer, and he fell from a beehive. He broke the beehive, and then he the person is holding onto the branch. And after that, so when he's entangled on a tree, he sees that the branch of the tree is being eaten by one black and one white rat, which is who are eating the branches of the tree. So the situation is very unique. He's away from the tiger. He thinks he has saved his life, but he fell, and there he sees that the black and a white rat, the eating the branches of the tree which he is holding on to. So just imagine yourself in that precarious condition. And then below the branch, there is a crocodile, because the tree is near a stream of water, and there is a crocodile who is seeing that the person is uh, hanging from the tree, and once he falls, the crocodile is waiting to fall. And and in the meantime, the beehive which he broke while coming into the situation where he is holding onto the branch, when he fell from the beehive, he sees that the bee, they are about to bite him, but at the same time, a drop of honey is falling from the beehive. And at that time, the person he knows that there is tiger, there is this rats who are cutting the branches, the bees are going to bite, the branch is going to fall, and the crocodile is waiting to eat him. But at the time, a drop of honey falls. When the drop of honey falls, the person is trying to lick and feel happy about it. What a precarious condition. Think about it. He is in a he is in a awful situation, but still, when the drop of honey falls, he is seeking that element of happiness. So this place is so precarious. Dukhalaya sustukam. That means the place is such a miserable place that we seek to get little pleasure in going somewhere, going here, you know, eating, mating, sleeping, defending, trying to get little bit of eating in our system, trying to sort of enthuse ourselves with a bit of a mating angle, which is mentioned in the Upanishads and Puranas, and sleeping, trying to sleep little more because the winter has come, and defending in the form of trying to be bossy by trying to defend and grow big. So this animalistic tendency is seeking us to get this pleasure exactly like how our situation is. Our situation is like the tiger chasing a person is like a time factor, because the tiger is about to come from the cliff and is going to eat you. Just a matter of time, you are about to get to death. And and when we're falling from the cliff, it's actually our distress condition. Our condition is so distressed that we can fall from anywhere. We cannot chant our rounds properly. We cannot remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead in whatever form, the Lord of the Universe, the uh, the, the melodious Lord, and the dancing Lord who are in our altar. We cannot remember it's a state of distress condition. And the black and white rat representing the day and night. As the day and night progresses, we are getting very close to our end, and the crocodile waiting for the person to fall resembles death here. And then when the pure honey falls on the mouth of the person, we think this is all we have. And that is why he clings on to this, which is nothing but Maya. So we cling on to this Maya where we say, you know, Dhanam Dehi, Jasam Dehi, Rupam Dehi, seek to get whatever we can from this. When Lord knows whatever we need, He knows about us, but still we seek during this time of Navratri, Dhanam Dehi, give me money, Jasham Dehi, give me fame, and Rupam Dehi, make me beautiful. And what a situation, what a precarious situation we are in. And Lord is saying this place is a miserable place, it's a temporary place, but we do not want to believe that. And this is exactly what is going to happen. And also there are three other kinds of suffering Lord is also mentioning indirectly here. Adi Daivik, which are all caused by the devas. Like Indra Dev, he caused rain, it turns into flood. Agni Dev, which basically triggers some of the forest fires and all the burnings which is happening. Anything which is triggered by these devas are adi devic sufferings. So flood, volcano, uh, tornadoes, um, they are so much of suffering to all of us. Adi bhautik, from all this coronavirus, he's a bhuta. He's causing so much of havoc. Uh, insect bite, a snake bite, a rash due to working in the working and getting touched with the poison ivy. Adi bhautik is caused by a bhuta, a individual, and adhyatmic, headache, nausea, migraine, vertigo, adhyatmic. So much of suffering we had, but still we do not recognize the suffering we are in, and we still look for that little bit of honey in our life. And people say money is honey, but actually it is nothing but money is Maya. The more you get, more distress you are. Do you think all these billionaires, millionaires are the happiest person in the world? And as we discuss, the people who are the happiest are the people who give out the most because they are always happy. They're always bindas. They're giving out the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're just preaching the supremacies of the Lord. By giving, doing something for others brings so much of happiness. It never is when you seek something for yourself, it doesn't give you that much of happiness. So, what a verse! We can go on and on, but this verse, Krishna is just shaking us up by just saying, Dukhalaya Sosvatam. And because because the great souls, the Mahatmas, who are Mahatmas? The people who are about to attain me, they are Mahatmas, not the father of a nation or someone. They may be wonderful people, they are amazingly situated, but they are not Mahatmas. Mahatmas are the people who never return to this temporary world. They have done enough pious credits in the form of compassion, in the form of um, doing service to the Lord, getting um, an element of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this place which is full of miseries, and they have attained the perfect, highest perfection, and that is why they never come back to me. And that's why Krishna says, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Dosanu Darshanam. So this place is full of misery and it's temporary and it's full of suffering. And the three kinds of suffering we talked about, and this is a place where we should try our best to escape from this place and go back to Godhead so that we do not have to come back to the cycle of um, birth and death in our future. So, with that, I would like to end here. If there are any comments, please let us know. We'll discuss. This is a beautiful verse to reflect on. Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Uh, Beautifully you explain everything, and really this verse is essence actually in our life, essence of our life. So, but uh, but but this is fallacy is that we don't we we read it everything, that is we know that we are standing, if we stand there is some pain in my leg. We know that everywhere is miseries in this world, but still we are not able to get that type of we are not going back to Godhead, and not our idea is different actually. We are materialistic, and going towards the material. So that is the that is the astonishing thing. So, but this is, you already mentioned that this is the illusionary energy of the God that cover us. That's why we are not able to get the right knowledge, not able to see the Lord, not able to, we are away from the Lord. So that is my understanding. But you gave the clear example, that is a very good example, Prabhu, that 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 particular person is hanging in the branch of the tree, and one drop of honey he he got, and after that he's happy. But besides him there's a lot of dangers, he don't think about it. So like say similar situation of us, or so that is my understanding, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. So you touched on one thing, Prabhu. We may not be very fixed in Krishna consciousness, as you mentioned. We are uh, because this material world is going in a very different direction. But what Krishna has said is, in the Satya Yuga, there is one kind of process of attaining me. In Dwapara Yuga, there was another, sorry, Treta Yuga, there was another process of attaining me, which was bit discounted, if I may. And then in Dwapara Yuga, it was more discounted. In Kali Yuga, as you rightly said, we are in a precarious condition and we are into a material world. Actually, it is very highly discounted. So what was A of 90% in Satya Yuga, in Treta Yuga, I'm just giving an example, in 80 you can get a A. You don't need 90. In Dwapara Yuga you can get it in 70. But Kali Yuga is so bad, even with 40 we can get A's, and that 40 is not even, archana, this, that, just chanting the name. So the so more the conditions, because I was talking to some of the students from the college, they were saying that because of the COVID, the teacher said there are some courses which you are not, you can make it into a gradeless course. That means they will waive it. They will just make you pass. They will give you credit, but they will not grade you if you are struggling in that course. So that is the beauty of this Kali Yuga. Even if in this age everybody is doing this, but if you just chant the name of the Lord, love the Lord, like what you was, so it's all relative, so there is nothing to lose heart, Prabhu. But so we are probably in the right track because our primary acharya Srila Prabhupada has given a very specific direction, and if we just follow that, that is enough. That is just enough. All these things will fall in place. Srila Prabhupada has put this process, and he has made the hippies into happies. They have, it is a proven system wherein people have gone through all kind of things, but now our Guru Maharaj and all our spiritual uncles, they are amazingly situated. We can see right in our eyes. So even if our surroundings are awful, like exactly how the person was hanging from the branch of the tree, but The situation is our environment condition makes us get good grades just by chanting, just resorting to Krishna consciousness, and there is will be benefit even if you follow the process, the process laid out by Srila Prabhupada. Have initial love, and that love will transcend to ruchi, shraddha, bhajana kriya, and then this will all uh, turn out very good. So just being in the process will take you forward. So just stay put, things will happen. Even if we are in a bad situation, there's nothing to lose hope about. Is that okay, bro?
Yes, yes, you are correct, Babu. They absolutely correct. Yes, in this age, the beautiful that Maha Mantra will save us only. There is no other way because you already mentioned earlier also that there is no other way now, no other way. Shastra mentioned it. So, and this Maha Mantra is so sweet, and this Maha Mantra actually it's give the vaccination actually from the outside.
Right.
So
Yes.
correct, Prabhu. You are absolutely right. Thank you, Prabhu.
Any other comments or questions and realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam, all glory to Srila Prabhupada and all. Prabhuji, thanks for the very elegant explanation, Prabhuji, and complete in all from all perspective. Just one reflection, Prabhuji, in the same lines what you told, Prabhupada always mentions that how temporary it is. He gives the analogy of the prison. We are all in the prison house, and material nature is like the jailer, and we come with the offense of the karma, whatever we have, and we are in this. So just to reiterate that how temporary it is and how binding it is, the prison example is a very good. I just wanted to share that.
Yes. Yes. Very nice, bro. Yeah, we are in this prison house, and the jailer. We are in this durga. That means it's a jail, and the prisoner, the main head who is guarding us is Durga Mata, and how she is protecting us, how she is letting us do the things in the material world, and why we are in this jail is very apt to this discussion. And there is the sufferings we have because of our impious credits or pious credits. We land here. We are here because we have done something not right. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this miserable place. Generally, when uh, people do something wrong, they go to jail, right? We have done something wrong. That's why we're in this material world. But we have done something right, that we have taken a human birth. We are a rational soul, not a irrational soul who believes in eating, mating, sleeping, defending, because we can only rationalize. But if we stoop to eating, mating, sleeping, defending, then we are not rational soul, we are animals. And that is the difference. So, in a way, we have done well to become human beings where we can discuss about who we are and where we have come from. But think about it, if you have done some impious credits more, you would have stooped down to be an animal or a aquatic and things like that. So we in this material world, uh, which so we are the spiritual soul in a material world. So it's like, so if you put the fish without water, the fish is going to die. We are spiritual souls in this material world. Actually, we are dying every day in a way, because this is not where we belong. We belong somewhere else. But we are fish without water. But we don't know that we are fish without water, because we think this is our main place and we'll stay there. And that's the reason why we are shaking exactly like how a fish is without water, but we don't know that we're shaking, and that's the difference. So we are in a jail, as Srila Prabhupada mentions, and we are uh, in the jail because we have done some impious credits. So thank you so much for sharing that, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And also, this is a transit lounge in our spiritual journey, Prabhuji. This is a transit lounge where we have to. The destination is the Golok Vrindavan, which and Prabhupada also mentions that we think that we are in a comfortable situation, but Prabhupada always said that we are in, it's an incompatible situation. Our existence here, as you have rightly mentioned, fish out of water, we don't know that it is an incompatible. The fish may not know that water is our real, basically the ecosystem. Similarly, we don't know that we think that this is our ecosystem, but not this. We belong to somewhere else. So we are also in the incompatible situation.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other comments or thoughts? Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Babuji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
As per the current verse, Babuji, once we reach in the Krishna logo, then we cannot come back to this metal world, right?
Right.
So is there any case like, because initially we were in Krishna logo only, right? But still we came back here due to we did something wrong. That's why we came back here. Is there those two things are contradict, right? So can you please give some light on that?
Yes. So what Krishna is saying is this suffering is because of some of our prarabdha karma. If you have attained me, it is believed by devotees that Srila Prabhupada, after doing so much of uh, spreading of the Krishna conscious movement, he also went through suffering because as long as he was in this. So when he was doing some of the translation of Srimad Bhagavatam, when he was in his final days, he used to derive a lot of pleasure when there was so much suffering with him in terms of his body giving up. So, uh, so the chance of you coming back from Krishna Loka is unthinkable because when because your state of being which drives you to the point of not coming back here is because you have attained the all the attributes of a Mahatma. When a person is thinking like a Mahatma, he is doing his act like a Mahatma, he is doing his services, his dealings, his liking, disliking like a Mahatma, the chance of that corrupting so that you can come down is unthinkable because you are you have done enough reformation in your life to get to that stage. So the chance of you coming back doesn't occur. It's not something you've changed your mind, you wanted to go. It's a travel launch, as Prabhuji mentioned. You're supposed to go to New York, but you want to go to Chicago. It's not like that. Once you are in Krishna Loka, you are in Krishna Loka. You are not. So you have primed yourself enough to really get to that place. So the chance of getting indulged in something which is not Krishna conscious is not going to happen because you have primed yourself. All of a sudden, if you have primed yourself, because I've seen, when the sannyasis come from ISKCON and they land in JFK and they see all these things, they sometimes make them feel bad. So what they end up doing, once it happened to me, they were in my car and they started opening their computer and they started running the video of Vishnu Puran because they find themselves out of place. So they find the streets of New York where all these things are going on, it's just out of the place. Then started. So it is not. So as I can see with these devotees who have lived in our movement for 30, 40, 50 years, their transformation is so significant and they are ready. So it is not easy to really switch your mind and say, no, I'm destined to go to Krishna Loka and now I'm not going. So it's not natural, you know. So that's how I would like to address it, Prabhuji. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. And also, I like the example that you've given, that right, men hanging and the rat example. I really like that. It really, same like this our situation currently in our life.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. Our situation is so. I mean uh, that includes a lot of people. Our situation is so precarious that we seek that little joy. We may be having so much deformities. We may be having so much of problems in our side. But whenever in these problems, whenever you see somebody else's problem, you realize that hey, his problem is there. I'm not alone. So we tend to have that, the so-called, uh, you know, the hypocrite angle. So the thing is, as once we go into anarthas, it will be a long discussion. The prajalpa, the aspect of not having compassion for others, envy, because envy is the last thing which will get you, which will sort of cease to get you to the upper planetary system. We have to really control our envy. We really have to shun envy at the end of the day. First, you will have to control, and then you have to shun envy. So there is a lot of cleansing activities we can discuss. I was meditating that after we finish Bhagavad Gita, all the 108 slokas, we should start reading Nectar Devotion in our Bhakti Vriksha, which talks about some of the attributes. But once this Bhagavad Gita is complete, 108 slokas, we are in the middle of 8th chapter, we're in the middle, maybe in a year or two, we'll finish it. And then once we go into our next course curriculum of Nectar Devotion, where all those things, Manobegam, Vegam, and all those things, when we start reading in the confines of the devotees, we will try to tackle each of these anarthas and how to cleanse it. So, in your house, you have a filter, right? You have an air filter, which during the heating system season, the cooling system, how it filters the air which comes. We need some element of filtering of the anarthas, and some of these are nicely talked about in some of our other scriptures. So, gradually, as we get knowledge, if you do not have the knowledge, you will not know that this we have to cleanse before going back to Krishna Loka. So, we have to work on cleansing them as we progress in our spiritual life. So, all those topics we are going to gradually talk about and take some of the Srila Prabhupada's quotes, which was sharing today, and see how all those attributes, all those anarthas are away from our life. And so, when the final time comes, we are ready to go back to where we came from rather than going to temporarily to some other place in a uh, in a in a airport. Okay, Prabhuji?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful explanation.
Hare Krishna. Any other comments, Prabhu?
Yeah, one comment, Prabhuji, on Niranjan Prabhu's question. Even say we tend to fall back, Prabhuji, right? That's how I understood his question, Prabhuji. Even if we tend to fall back after trying to reach the peak, we may slip. But Krishna assures that it is accumulative. You don't have to start all over again. You'll start from the place where you reach the highest. So it's an encouragement that we continue doing this, even despite doing, as you told Prabhuji, anarthas. We should continue doing this because this is cumulative, and we will catch up in this life or next life sometime.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you,
So
Prabhuji.
even if we fall back, that is, even if we fall back, also it is we have fallen back, as you rightly told, Prabhuji. We came here because we were with Krishna, but we fall back because of some We did not put Krishna in the center, we put ourselves, and we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna. That's how our acharyas describe. That's why we came back here. So it is not a new thing for us. We have fallen here. Initially also means we have done this act, but now we are cognizant that we have to go back, and this is the process we have to follow to go back. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So,
Any other
Prabhu,
comments?
yes, Prabhu, one thing I need to know. Can you explain a little bit more about the Nitto Vaddha and Nitto Mukto Jiva? So can you explain about that? You already explained earlier, but can you little bit explains about this in relation to this sloka?
Yes. So Nitya Siddhas are the people who are who have fully surrendered and who are constantly serving the Lord all the time, and they are they do not do anything other than the Lord. So they are Nitya Siddhas. And there is also another term, Prabhu. Uh, there are many terms on that. In terms of different level of nistha, different level of love they have. And these Nitya Siddhas, as we are discussing during the Srimad Bhagavatam in the morning, now Vidura's discussion with Maitreya Muni in third canto is going on. And there is a lot of discussion around different types of devotees. So the Nitya Siddhas are the people who are constantly focusing. They have basically primed their mind and brain and intelligence to be in the constant association of the Lord. So even if Lord is in Golok Vrindavan, but still Lord is with them in as uh, soul and super soul. So they are constantly serving the Lord, they constantly reading about the Lord, constantly glorifying the Lord. And some of these examples of Nitya Siddhas are some of our spiritual masters who have taken a lot of time in getting a ruchi for this name, right? It's not easy to get a ruchi for the name and the Krishna consciousness process. So Nitya Siddhas are those people who are constantly in touch with the process of Krishna consciousness in the form of Nam Sankirtan or hearing the glories of the Lord. Okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. And Nitya Vaddha.
Yeah, Nitya Vaddhas as so Siddha is like a higher expression because they have mastered their siddhas. They have mastered the process, and Nityabadhas are on the they are like they're practicing Krishna consciousness. They're not they're they excelled it, but they are on the way to master it, and they get into the siddha angle. So they are they are slightly lower in the concept of gaining the ruchi and love for the Lord. Okay, Prabhu?
Also, Prabhupada tells Prabhuji Nitya Baddha means we are eternally conditioned. Like the Goswamis, they are Goswamis. They have Siddha through the practice, they have attained the Goswami state. But we are Nitya Baddhas because we are eternally conditioned. We still think of ourselves. Though we
Right.
are, as you rightly told, we are practicing it,
Yeah.
but we are not there yet.
Yes.
So we have to go from Nitya Baddha to Nitya Siddha.
Exactly, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll end here, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So I'll send you all the upcoming festivals. We'll end here by offering obeisances on the lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas who took time to discuss about this wonderful subject by chanting Vancha
Kalpataru
Kalpatarubhyascha
Pratipat
Kripa
Sindhu
Sindhubhyavach
Patitanam Pavane
Pavanam
Bhuvishnu.
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Prabhu ki
Bhagavad
jai.
Gita ki jai.
One thing,
Yeah.
Prabhu, one
Yes,
thing
Prabhu.
maybe in this class I should not tell, but and on 14th and 14th November 14, maybe 14th Sunday, that is, or Saturday. I decide that most probably Sunday, 14 November. I'm inviting for the Damodar Puja. Everyone
Definitely,
in our
definitely, definitely,
in,
Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for
please
inviting.
please.
Thank you. Hari
Thank
bol,
you.
Prabhu.
Hare
Sorry.
Krishna.